Indian Hill Encounters follows Michael Talbot, a wisecracking ordinary guy from suburban Boston. Mike must navigate the usual chaos of adolescence, moving to a new town, an overbearing mother, girl troubles, and brushes with the law, before heading off to college in Colorado with his best friend Paul, where Mike meets the girl of his dreams, Beth. Life takes a wild turn during a date at a widespread panic concert. In a flash, thousands of people, including Mike and Beth, are abducted by aliens, transported aboard a massive alien vessel. The ruthless Progerians have turned the ship into a deadly gladiatorial arena, pitting humans against each other in brutal to the death battles on ever-changing computer-generated terrains. The games serve two purposes: entertainment for the aliens and intelligence gathering on humans' fighting spirit, strengths and weaknesses ahead of a full-scale alien invasion of Earth. Mike, more lover than fighter, must adapt fast, climb the deadly ranks, protect his friends, and fight not only for survival, but for the future of the human race in this high-octane mix of coming-of-age drama and dark sci-fi horror in Indian Hill Book 1 Encounters. This is the Chronicles of Michael Talbot, the podcast, The Reboot.
All right, it says we're live, so let's cross our fingers and dot our T's and cross our I's and see if this works out. Good evening and welcome. It is Wednesday. It is 7 o'clock. That must mean it is time for Chronicles. I already screwed up. The Chronicles of Michael Talbot, the reboot. I am your host, Jeff Freud's. As always, joining me is Mr. Christopher Simpson.
Hello.
And Mr. Jason Lee Leiter.
Hello, everybody.
So if you are new to this, welcome. If you are old to this, some of this may sound repetitive, but we're going to try to do something a little bit different this time around. My little brain has been going all week since I said, let's reboot the podcast and let's do it April 1st. In reality, probably should have done it May 1st or maybe next week, giving ourselves a little bit more time, but so be it. That's how it works. That's life. And we are live doing this. We are live streaming up on YouTube. So if you're watching this broadcast and you're one of the people like me that you speak your podcasts while you're listening to them and you want to share information, you're like, why didn't they say this? Why didn't they say that? You should be watching this with us live on YouTube. We're going to try and do it every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Life does happen, so it might not happen that week, but we're going to try to stick to Wednesdays to make life a little more uniformed and easy. Now, some people, actually, you know what, some people are watching. We created two streams. One of them is working, one of them is not. So that was glitch number one. So what we are going to do is we're breaking this into three different sections. Jason is going to take part one. I'm going to take part two. And Chris is going to bring things home with part three. If you do not want to hear spoilers, if you have not read the Indian Hill series, what the F are you doing listening to this? Shut it off if you don't want spoilers. If you do, well, then keep it on because we're going to spoil the ever-loving F out of it for you. Okay? So, Chris, you are on a hotel desk. Is that correct?
Yes.
I can hear you typing on your thing and it's rattling your microphone or whatever you're doing. If you're tapping the table, it's making noise in the background. There it is. Or is that Jason?
No, that was me.
No, that one was you.
It wasn't me.
That one was you. So, thank you, Victoria. My daughter is in the chat watching. If you're in the chat and you got comments or whatever, say hello so we know who you are. So, Indian Hill was Mark's first book that he wrote in college. He took a writing class at UMass Amherst and said, this would be an easy class to take. Why not? So back in 2009, he found the book. I don't remember Mark was in college, probably sometime in the 90s, like the rest of us, Gen Z. We're Gen X, right? Mm-hmm. Jason? Yeah, Gen X. Chris is a millennial. So as part of his class, he did a writing class for part of his thing. And he wrote what is now Indian Hill. Wrote it in college, probably got an A or maybe a D minus, who knows, depending upon the teacher. Put it away, and it stayed there for years, probably a decade or so. And then he's cleaning out his garage one day, and he comes across his old book that he had this story in, and decided, what the hell, I'll take a crack at it with the help of his Tracy, who we all know of. He decided to write Indian Hill. So, Indian Hill comes out after Zombie Fallout, if you're going by the whole Tufo thing. So, Zombie Fallout came up first, and then he did Indian Hill. On the timeline, in the Triptyverse, Indian Hill comes out first, and there is one pinnacle moment in this story where Mark decided, when he did all of his writings, which was the car crash, that he could kind of branch off a little bit and go into other stories where that car crash is kind of the catalyst, where what we call the Tufo-verse, or I like to call it the Triptyverse, because Trip is kind of the catalyst of the whole thing, where it all spins off. So Jason is going to take us through chapters 1 through 17. I'm going to do chapters 18 through 34, and Chris is going to do 35 to the very end of the book. So, if there's something you want to say while you're watching this, post it in the comments, post it in the chat, and when we get a chance to, we will read your comment and do the very best we can. See, what happens when I talk too fast? My brain goes faster than my mouth, so I got to slow down a little bit. I'm going to turn things over to Jason, who is going to kick things off. Take it, Jace.
Oh, see, and I'm not going to do nearly as good of a job because I'm not the lead guy like you know. So,
I got faith in you.
Yeah, well, I'll do the best I can. So the story starts out with Mike as a teenager. He moves from Boston to Walpole, Mass. I can never say that correctly.
Which town? Which town?
Walpole.
Walpole. Yep, it's Walpole. You are correct.
Okay. And then Mike starts a new school. Gets dropped off by his mom on the first day.
All kids love that.
Oh yeah, I never got to be the dad who so far that does that screams out that I love you and all that stuff, and embarrasses the hell out of her. But then again, my daughter's only 14, so I got a little time yet to go.
Yeah.
But he starts at the new school. First thing that happens, unfortunately, is he's in class and he gets blamed for a giant spitball that hits his teacher. And basically, Mike as the new kid, gets blamed because nothing like this ever happens before in the class, which I'm really doubtful on. Paul gets ejected from his. He meets Paul, and Paul gets ejected from the class for a second spitball. And that's kind of how Mike and Paul met. What do you guys think? Trying to think if there's anything else that I missed in there.
No, you're doing great so far. Keep going.
Okay.
How crappy is it of the teacher? Like, she gets hit with that second one, and she doesn't realize, oh, shit, Paul probably did the first one. I should probably call Mike back and apologize.
Yeah.
Just no, keep going to the principal. Double
You
down.
didn't go to school. Yeah, you didn't go to school in Massachusetts. Teachers don't give a shit. They'll throw the whole class out if they can.
I'm pretty
especially
sure
especially in the 90s. They could hit students back then, and it was okay.
I remember.
Yeah.
Got yanked by the ear one day.
That'll do it. We had in fourth grade, if our desk was messy, Miss Toronto would flip the desk over and dump everything out in front of the class. And if you weren't paying attention while she was at the chalkboard, she would throw the chalk eraser at you. And kids would come out of class with chalk marks all over their bodies. And this is when school still had, chalkboards, and it's not all dry erase boards now. So
when teachers were actually allowed to correct the kids.
Yeah. As my daughter is saying, they, in fact, will throw the whole class out. They don't care. One kid screws up, they'll throw out the entire class. So yeah, that was schools in Massachusetts pretty much to the till maybe a couple of years ago when everything became all P and you can't raise your voice to kids now because they'll break. But anyway, we digress. Keep going.
I'm not into the political correctness.
No, not at all.
So the early part of this, we meet they meet Trip. They're hitchhiking early on in the book, and they end up getting picked up by, or what is it, Windstar, as he goes by. But we all know it's Trip. I mean, and then you kind of get the start of it with as he's getting out of the car, Trip looks at Mike and says, "Be seeing you, Mike."
That part was definitely written after Zombie Fallout. That wasn't in his. I asked Mark, when did you write? How far into Indian Hill did you write for school? And he said, "Are you freaking crazy? There's no way in hell I'm going to remember that." So he kind of gave me an idea as to when they got abducted by aliens and beamed up to the mothership. And I asked him if he still had a copy of the original book, and he said, "No, I threw it out." To which I said, "You freaking fool. Do you know how much money you could have auctioned that off for?"
I'm looking at, like, I have a reprint of ZF1, but I'm looking for an original copy of ZF1. Was it? The little, it was only like 30 pages or 80 pages or something like that. Or it was it wasn't the full size book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been looking for one of those.
Nope.
I search in used bookstores when I'm out and about. So
I do too. Ever find anything Tufo?
No,
Nothing.
I don't either.
Nope.
Never seen anything.
New books definitely don't have anything, but even used bookstores, which is good because people are holding on to them. They're not getting rid of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, keep going.
Then let's see. Next starts they go to what's the name of the store? I can't remember the name of the store.
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop. Thank you. They sneak up onto the roof of the Stop and Shop, where Paul has beer hidden inside the AC unit for the building, which should be fun. I can't remember. Was it Trip who bought him the beer, or was it did they get somebody else to buy him the beer?
They hitchhiked.
It was somebody else
with Trip, but because they hitchhiked from the high school to the Stop and Shop, but somebody else bought them the beer, like a hobo downtown. Paul knows a hobo that you'll buy your beer. Every good town in America should have that buys high school kids alcohol and cigarettes.
Yeah, because he bought him a 12-pack and he made him give him 2, I guess. So
yeah.
Yep.
So they get their beer. The next day, they ended up getting their 3-day indoor suspension and forced to sit in the principal's office, which I seem to remember in class suspensions. Unfortunately, I think I spent too much time in them. And those were, sitting there all day with not being able to say anything, not talk to anybody is just torture. So I'm trying to think. Did they go back to the roof after the detentions, the 3-day detentions?
They went back to the roof several times. They even brought Dennis back with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of their go-to place, was to hang out on the roof of the Stop and Shop. So, which is very prominently used in the Parent Plague Part 2.
Right.
Who doesn't remember hanging out on a rooftop
of a supermarket? No doubt, in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Well, they end up on the roof in a lot of the books. I mean, during ZF they end up on the roof too. They had to get the fire truck to get them down. Remember? Yeah,
Mark's got a thing for roofs and tunnels in his stories. There's a lot of tunnels and tight spaces, and a lot of roofs that need to be rescued off of.
Is he actually claustrophobic in real life, or?
I know he's germophobic. I don't know if he's claustrophobic. Maybe one goes hand in hand. Who knows?
Mike is severely claustrophobic.
Yes, he is, and I don't like tight spaces either, but I wouldn't say I'm claustrophobic about it.
Yeah.
So,
I've never been drugged through a cave by Trip though, so I can't really say too much.
And greased up with lard or Crisco or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, we will definitely get to that story at a later date.
Mine isn't claustrophobia or germs. It's bugs. I don't do bugs.
I don't blame you. I don't like bugs either.
Ugh. Spiders do it for me.
You're not a spider guy?
No. The closest I ever was, I was on vacation with my cousins, and we were at this reptile place where you can hold the different ones. Mm-hmm. And my cousin Zach is even more scared of spiders than I am. So me and Matt each held a tarantula, and then we made fun of him until he put it on himself.
Overcame that fear.
I don't recommend it. Oh, yeah, awful.
Nice.
Let's see. Then Mike goes on his first date. Was it Patty Ryan?
Patty Ryan. We've all had that date.
Italian restaurant. So it was not the best thing to do on your first date. Was take her to an Italian restaurant, which I thought was funny. I can't imagine the mess.
This is not your friend.
Well, I mean, how many kids that are in their teens are exactly the cleanest people when they're eating, anyways? I mean, so
very true. See, all of our first dates we grew up in Waltham, so it was either Chateau, Ground Round, or Chateau and Ground Round. That's all really the only options, or Friendlies. Really, the only options we had growing up.
Jeez, I don't know. I think first dates for us were always movies. So.
That too. The Waltham sent $1.50 for a movie.
Wow.
We get second rate movies after when they're about to leave. Basically, before they leave theaters and went on home video 6 months later. Now everything just streams while you're in the theaters. Kids, they don't know how good they got.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had to wait in line. You couldn't get tickets on the app. Never mind. I'm talking about something different. Go ahead. That's a whole other show.
There you go. Mike gets invited to Patty's house the following day, which he completely screws up. He gets a little too competitive, ends up beating her at, what was it, ping pong?
Ping pong. She took lessons. Yeah. Who takes ping pong lessons?
Got me.
Don't
look at me.
But Mike and Paul end up having a conversation the following day talking about his disappointing date. And basically, Paul tells him you're going to screw up a lot of dates in the future, so don't take it too personal. Then they let's see where we go from there. I'm looking at our notes too. So they talk about Christmas. Everybody goes home for Christmas except for Mike, who stays at the school. Talks about what he got I got ahead. I'm thinking of the college already. They were talking about Christmas presents. And Paul got, what did he get? A Nintendo, I think it was?
Yeah.
And Mike got socks.
Yeah, Mike's definitely got issues with his mom in this story. She's not exactly Donna Reed, for those of you that know who that is, or a line from years that came up, but she's not a very nurturing woman. Paul's mother is, or Paul's step Barb is very nurturing, but Mike's mother definitely is not.
I don't know if I would call Paul's stepmom nurturing.
She reads the parenting books.
Yeah.
And that's her idea of parenting. So maybe nurturing isn't the right thing, but she tried to be motherly parenting from a book,
That isn't even his mom, isn't it? It's his stepmother, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Paul's stepmom. I love how Paul reads the books himself so that he knows what's coming, before it even happens. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Mike wasn't supposed to he was an oopsie baby. His mom and dad were past their prime when they had him, and it was a struggle for him to come into the world. He almost died. It was a miracle he's even there.
Mike's, which is how much of a miracle baby Mike was, and how sometimes the oops kid can be the best kid out there because he turns into the savior of the world.
Yeah. So then let's see. The boys decide that they're gonna get back against the principal for
Rat
the
Spindler.
in-school suspension. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was supposed to be a simple vandalism of his car ended up going a little south, and they ended up arsoning his car. Luckily, they got out of it for being blamed for it because they had set up a alibi of being in the library. I love how Paul knew how to get out of the basement of the library and get back in without anybody noticing. I'm going to definitely say
he's done that
times
before.
Yeah.
That's a local trick right there.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, they ended up burning his car to the ground. So they almost get blamed for it. They never did say whether or not they found anybody else to blame for it, did they? They tried to blame them, but the librarian had said that they were in the library the entire time.
Yeah. No, Rat Spindler was positive that it was them, but there was no evidence because they were in the library and they had the airtight alibi, which just is building the camaraderie that Mike and Paul have, where they have each other's backs. I mean, the whole beginning of the book, and the first time I read it, I was like, okay, when is something interesting going to happen? It's not till like chapter 12 or 13 you find out that there's something else, but the story is building the relationship that Paul and Mike have, and even with Dennis being the outsider. All of this stuff, kids, is crucial to the character development and the story. So if you haven't read Indian Hill and you start to, stick with it. It's important.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Dennis is the next one who steps in.
Yep.
We get Dennis comes into the story. He comes in wearing his Yankees hat, which is apparently a very bad thing to do in Boston. I take it there.
Yeah. It's not a good thing to do. So it's almost as bad as being from Boston and wearing a New York Giants sweatshirt all the time. Looking at you, Mark.
Oh, geez.
Or being a Buffalo fan. Basically, Boston, anything Boston in New York, or New England in New York, we don't. For sports wise, we don't mix. It's all good, clean fun.
Mike decides he's going to throw a party one night. His mom goes. What is it? Every Saturday night, his mom goes out with her friends.
Yep.
And they play card games.
Yeah.
And
like in another city, like an hour or so away.
Yeah.
Like far enough that if it runs late, she stays there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because what is it? She calls at 12 o'clock to tell him whether she's coming home every weekend or whether she's staying there.
Mm-hmm.
But he decides to throw a party. At first, he's afraid that nobody's going to show up because of what he said. It was starting at 7. 7:30 rolls around, and I think Dennis was the only one who showed up at that point. And then Paul shows up, and then the next thing you know, there's a line of kids walking down the street.
So it always is with high school parties.
Yeah. I got to agree with that. So mom does call up, what is it, a little after midnight, after all the kids are sitting there quiet and trying to keep quiet while he talks to his mom. And he's just as drunk as can be. So he manages to find out that she's going to stay overnight. And Paul and Dennis end up staying the night and helping him clean up the following morning. They have the hair of the dog to get over their hangover so that they can actually get some stuff done around the house. Now, I don't know about you. I know of any parties that I threw in high school that no matter how much you cleaned, you still got caught. Something got missed.
Yeah. It's too clean. Parents know that when you clean the house too much, you had a party.
Yeah.
You don't clean the house out of the goodness of your own heart while your parents are away.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where he almost gets caught, of course, is with that. But I'm just talking about, like, I always missed something. You know, it was always like one cup got missed. It was someplace in the house that you didn't think it was there.
A random beer bottle cap or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
or,
just something.
God forbid, a condom wrapper or something falls underneath the bed.
Yeah.
Not for me. One of my friends.
Dennis helping out, staying, and he was the first one to start cleaning. Is actually what cements his friendship with the duo.
Yeah. That party kind of where Dennis, Paul, and Mike became the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
You know, because Mike's asleep. He wakes up to hearing bottles, and he's like, "Oh, there's something still going on." And Dennis and Paul are cleaning up. But Dennis was the one that initially started the cleanup.
Dennis was cleaning up. Paul woke up later and was like, "You know what we need? We need a hair of the dog. That's what
hair of
we
the
need."
dog.
Yeah.
Drink a Bloody Mary. I don't like tomato juice at all. Not my thing.
Right there with you. It's absolutely disgusting.
Nope. I'll work through the hangover
for it.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of vodka if I'm going to do it. So.
Yes.
I'll just take the vodka.
So after they're done cleaning up, they decide that they're going to go hit the roof of the Stop and Shop. Apparently, it was also time to just go ahead and keep drinking at that point. So Dennis then spots basically it's Indian Hill that he spots.
Yeah. So from the roof of the Stop and Shop is woods in the back, which is now an apartment complex or a housing complex. Or houses, little cul-de-sacs. Actually, there's a drive video of used to be Indian Hill on the YouTube page. If you scroll down a little bit, I did it at a times speed, so don't think it's driving that fast through the neighborhood, okay? Because I have gotten that comment. It just would have been a really long, boring video if it was a normal speed.
Is the Stop and Shop still there?
Stop and Shop is still there. The video ends at the Stop Shop.
That's cool. I'll have to look for it. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and actually the train tracks that they cross, the Parent Play Part 1 cover, it was taken on those train tracks. So, of my lovely wife's behind holding a knife. So,
and that's where they find the Hobbit tree. So I never read the Hobbit books. I've of course seen their movies, but I there must have been one heck of a description for them to figure out that this tree was something from Hobbit. So I had to go back and I'll have to read that one and see what it comes up with, because like I said, I couldn't understand that they all pictured it as this Hobbit tree. So
yep.
Well, they almost die on those tracks too.
Yeah, because they were they were going over when the train started coming.
Yep.
Yeah, the where it goes over the commuter rail go through there, or the purple line. If you're not from Boston, where it comes through there pretty quickly for going around the train tracks. But yeah, I've seen it a couple of times on up there to shoot some video or stuff.
It's the first time that Mike saves Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after they go up and they find the Hobbit tree and they go up to Indian Hill and that, the next thing is the Cheech and Chong movie marathon. They're going to watch that, and they're all going to drink heavily, partake in other things I believe that they found along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they decide that they were going to go drive home. I couldn't remember. Mike, he questions Paul about driving, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he asked if he's okay. He asked if he's okay, because they fell asleep. They were up all, it was like a huge movie marathon. Read the Spirit Clearing for more on the extension of it and the story kind of behind the Cheech and Chong marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike questions Paul whether he's okay to drive, because they're driving Barb's car, Paul's stepmom's vehicle.
Right. And Dennis had fallen asleep in the back seat. They ended up Paul ends up losing control and ends up hitting a tree.
Yeah. Don't drink and drive.
The car catches fire. Mike gets I know he had a broken arm. And
he got ejected.
Yeah, he got ejected out of the car, and he had a broken arm.
Wear your seatbelts.
Seatbelts? What are those?
In the 90s, we have that. We that wasn't a necessity in Boston.
Yeah, well, but I don't even think they were a requirement until the late 80s. So
No.
they were an option up until that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Mike has a broken arm, and he ends up pulling the boys out of the car. He gets Dennis out first, out of the back seat. And Dennis was pretty messed up, but Paul was much more because he got pinned underneath the steering wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Paul actually catches fire at one point. His sleeve catches fire as Mike's trying to get him out of the car. They finally do get out, but Mike ends up with, I think, broken arm and broken ribs. So that's kind of, that's the second piece that cements their relationship is the car accident. Between the party and then the car accident, I think that's where it locks it in that these guys are going to be lifelong friends in all the Tufo worlds. So
yeah, Mike has saved Dennis's life twice now, and they've only known each other a week.
Yeah.
Mike ends up in the hospital the longest too, I believe, right?
Yeah, he's got his legs all bashed up, or is it his leg or his eye? Yeah, his legs all torn to hell, and everything that so broken to all shit.
Yeah, because when he gets out, that's when he gets the award for bravery, which he really didn't care about. So
Mike's not about awards.
Well, it wasn't really about bravery either. I mean, it was his friends. Like, they would do whatever they could for their closest friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So after he gets out of the hospital, they finish what? He buckles down towards the end of the year. They graduate. And in the meantime, Mike and Paul both apply for the same schools, hoping to get into the same places. Mike refuses to go anything on the East Coast because he wants to be nowhere near his mom. So, and he got into Colorado and something in California, wasn't it?
Yeah, University of Colorado, and I don't remember the California one, but I know him and Paul end up both going to University of Colorado.
Yeah, they ended up going to University of Colorado. They ended up being roommates.
Paul knew that he was going to Colorado. Paul never told him he was going to Colorado too. It was a surprise to Mike when he got to the dorm and Paul was the roommate.
Was it?
I thought it was a surprise that they were roommates, but I thought he knew he was going there.
I
could be wrong.
I think he knew.
No, I focused on my 16 chapters, so I didn't really know how much with that. So his second time around. But either way, they end up roommates in college.
That I focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mike, so they become roommates. Paul, when he gets there, Paul's got the room already decorated. Paul had actually been there for a few days already. After Mike spent 3 days on the train heading out there, or on a bus. I'm sorry, on a bus.
Yeah, because his mother wouldn't pay for the flight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets out there, they get into their college dorm and then they start to have fun. Right as Mike gets off the bus, grabs a taxi to the college, and just as he goes and gets out of the cab, he trips and falls right in front of Beth. Beth ends up being the love of his life, I guess, for the first year, quote unquote. Yes. And he ends up making a fool out of himself to the point that Beth thought he was part of the special needs.
Which, in all fairness,
facts.
It is
very well could be.
But he ends up, Mike slowly but surely ends up starting to, I guess, work his way into dating Beth, even though she said that she had a boyfriend. They broke up. So he ends up starting to go out with her. They start to have fun. He has more feelings for her than she has for him. They do end up on one Friday night, kind of hooking up with each other. And Beth feels that he kind of blew her off afterwards for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but he says, actually, I thought it was you blowing me off. So,
well, Beth is one of those. She kept doing the, I like you, I don't like you. Let's go out. Let's knock out. I have a boyfriend. I don't know how I feel. And you find this out through the whole series. Beth just loves to string guys along because she's hot, she knows it, and we all knew and know somebody like that in our younger years that just wanted to be the center of attention, and know what she wanted, but this is what she wanted.
But Mike starts to spend a lot of time with her. Kind of starts to spend less time with Paul. Paul gets a little jealous that she's, kind of taking the lead on everything. And even when he does spend time with Paul, she's there. They go home for Christmas break. Mike stays at school. Paul and Beth both go back to their homes for Christmas. When they get back, Beth kind of explains that she ran into her ex while she was gone, and they kind of, explained that they still had feelings with him. Mike asked
did the deed, did the ugly.
He asked if she slept with him, and she avoids the answer.
See, that's why I didn't go to college. I want to get caught up in that love romance.
Yeah,
you got to go to college to get caught up in a love romance.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we kind of get into Paul tells Beth that if she's playing games with Mike, that she should not do it, and because Mike has true feelings about her.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, at first she thinks he's just doing it because he wants to take his shot, and he explains you're a friend, but that's not, nothing more than that. So at that point she breaks things off with Mike. She comes to realize that Mike has got a lot more feelings for her than she has for him, and they break it off. And then what was it, like a month, something like that?
If that, it wasn't even that much more.
Yeah, because they had plans to go to the Red Rock concert, and then she broke it off with him. Okay, and then she comes back and she's like, "Hey, just come with me to the concert. Let's have a good time. Whatever happens."
I was
go as friends
before the Red Rock concert.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they end up going to the concert together. And unfortunately, that is where we step into the
big pile of shit.
During all this time, though, the U.S. government, the world governments have been monitoring a ship coming in that changed directions and is coming towards Earth. So they end up with aliens parking their ship over the top of Red Rock.
I don't think I think it was only the U.S. government that was in the know. I don't think the rest of the world knew.
No, they said because the scientist was talking to the president at one point, and he had said that all the other nations were watching the same live feed from Hubble.
Mm-hmm.
So
they thought it was an asteroid. As always, you think it's an asteroid because it's so far away. It's by Jupiter and Venus. And then all of a sudden it changed direction. it takes a left turn in Albuquerque. And, now it's stopped, and it's parked right outside of, is it Jupiter? No, Jupiter. Yeah, it's parked right outside Jupiter, just stopped. Mm-hmm. So, and then,
then it disappeared and all of a sudden, reappeared right next to the Earth. So,
yeah, it's got a cloaking. Well, they have a cloaking device and they send out a shuttle. It's not the mothership, but the mothership is the size of Maine.
It teleports to Venus. And then it enables the cloaking thing.
That's
we found out later from Paul's contact that even though it was invisible and disappeared, the guy that watched everything happen, he was like, I studied the planet, and I could tell that large body was still there, affecting it.
Yeah, because it was the gravitational pull of it was affecting the planet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so the ship ends up getting parked over Red Rock, and they end up. Mike was they were partying, having fun. Mike was talking about how much he'd never been to a concert that he loved that much, never danced that much. And then what was it? After intermission, he started to get a buzzing in his head. So did a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then really at that point, he blacks out and wakes up thinking that he just blacked out, and he's in a cell for the most part on the alien ship.
Julipion.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he's in jail first. It's like, what the hell's
Right,
going on?
yeah.
What did I do? I'm in jail. And then all of a sudden, he's like, what the? There's a guy next to him telling him everything.
Right. Yeah, it was
It's always the guy in the.
Bulgarian,
It's always
right?
the guy in the next cell in the movies that tells you what's going on. 'Cause you're like, how the hell did I get here?
Well,
Right.
Zombie Fallout. It's Mike ends up in book 1 in the jail cell, and has Durgan next to him. So
Yeah, exactly.
but Mike ends up after he kind of gets a little bit of an explanation from the Progerian that was next to him. He basically gets forced into fighting. He's disoriented still, and he ends up being forced to fight a 50-year-old guy that really, I don't know that the guy had any more. I think he was just as disoriented as Mike was when they first got in there. And the arena looked like a forest, and Mike had no experience fighting. And Mike ends up fighting with him, and unfortunately, Mike is forced to kill the guy.
Yeah, it's his first battle. So they take. Yeah, it's a kind of it's a shitty thing.
Yeah.
You go to a concert with the girl you want to be your girlfriend and your crush, thinking you're gonna have a good time, and you end up on a spaceship with aliens. So that's
Avoid
where.
redness.
Yeah.
Kinda,
Yep. That's where Act 1 kind of ends, and Act 2 starts.
yeah.
So thank you, Jason. Very
Yeah,
very
like I
well
said,
done.
I'm not nearly as good as Jeff. I mean, I just
Jeff
gotta
had
read
to
off
take
my
notes. I'd take notes and read his script and everything like that. So we'll see how well this goes. But what ends up happening is the when we find out they're called Genogerians, all the people that were taken captive on the alien spaceship all have to fight in something called an arena. They have to do fights to the death. And Mike is 21 years old, college kid, or 18, 19, is freshman. It's 18. He's in college, 19 years old, whatever the hell that is. He's not a fighter. He's not the Marine Mike from Zombie Fallout. He's a wet behind the back college kid that doesn't, know anything. And he's put into this first fight. And the only reason he beats the first guy is because the other guy was beat up just as much, was beat to hell. And Mike didn't want to do it, but if the rules are, if you don't fight, you die.
Yeah.
One person has to die in that arena. So the Progerians, as we find out that their names are, they will kill you if you decide not to. So Mike reluctantly has to kill his opponent. And it takes its toll on him,
Yeah.
So we get to the point of the book, starting around chapter 18, where the president is discussing the alien abduction at Red Rocks. Not everyone was lucky enough to be fully beamed up. Some of the big victims caught in the middle of the tractor beam were split in half. There's a gruesome image of a guy going for a frisbee where his right arm, right leg, and half of his head are severed. That's not something I want to see at a concert, but most of the people there, it is a widespread Panic concert, and they are Grateful Dead light. I might get shit for saying that, but I'm not familiar with their music, but they know they're one of the hipster type of jam bands. And a lot of people were stoned on LSD, mushrooms, whatever, those crazy kids do at those concerts. So some of the accounts, people didn't know whether it was true or not. So the government is trying to keep it secret. The government is saying that the people weren't beamed above spaceships. They were just, it was some kind of virus or something that happened. But we found out later that Paul knows. But the president at the time wants to keep things as quiet as possible and is too, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Not too concerned about poll numbers. Everybody think he's because it's an election year. How dare the alien come down in an election year and ruin everything? But he doesn't. He thinks he has to stay in office because he's the only one that can have a diplomatic solution for this. if the next president is a Republican, they just want to blow everything up. So obviously, this president is more of a Clinton-esque president, and he's a Democrat. So I'm guessing that's kind of when Mark wrote this, was mid-90s during that whole thing. But the president states that the government has known about the alien arrival for a full year. They discovered a probe in Kansas, and they found out that it was transmitting on a low-level frequency. Labeled Project Bluefire, the probe's message was clear. Humans, make no attempt to contact or confront us. Any and all perceived threats to our ship will be met with unbridled fury. We have come to your planet and intend to stay until our purpose is fulfilled and our mission is accomplished. If I ever heard a message like that, I think I'd shit my pants. Being in government or any of it. You know, we all want...
I'm going in a bunker.
Yeah, exactly. So, in response to that, humans being typical humans, they take it out to the South Pacific and try to blow it up with the nuke. It didn't work out too well for Godzilla with the Japanese, and it should not work out very well in this one. And it didn't, because the nuclear blast didn't even make a scratch. Mike starting to evolve as a fighter. He's now up to his third fight. He's no longer the carefree, pot-smoking, beer-drinking, wisecracking college kid. He has been thrust into brutal manhood in the worst possible way. It is kill or be killed, with the fate of his spoils resting in his hands. Spoils are, after each fight, the women of the concert are put into like a harem, and they're giving up as rewards to the men who are the competitors. So after the first fight, Mike is awarded Deb, who doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know who Mike is. They weren't at the concert together. And Mike's big thing is wondering what happened to Beth. Well, if this woman is a spoil, maybe Beth is someone else's spoil. And Mike starts to describe Beth to Deb. And through the description, Deb tells Mike, I know who she is. She's the queen of the games, and she's going to be given to the victor of this. Now, there are a couple thousand people that got beamed aboard the spaceship. They weren't all from Red Rocks. They were kind of all over the planet. So it's people kind of all over the place that are in this fight together. So all the men were taken, and for the pleasure of the Genogerians, they fight each other. So it's kind of like a... Progerians, excuse me. Genogerians, we'll get into what they are. They're warriors. The Progerians have these games where it's, kind of old school Spartacus gladiator type of thing, where you're taken as a slave and you're made to fight in an arena to the death. And if you win, you get a woman to do with as you wish. And after each fight, Mike gets bigger living quarters because he gets more women. They're not just going to fit in a little tiny cell. There's a ranking system for the fighters. Mike is constantly the underdog as the fights go on. They don't think he should still be alive. There was something that happened to him in that first fight. And actually a lot of people after the first fight got infections and died. So the Progerians had to step in and kind of use their little Progerian, pharmaceuticals to try and fix things up. But as Mike starts to go into battle, he remembers advice from his old baseball coach and is thinking, you got to think like your opponent. He studies the opponent's moves, intentions, desires, and their fears. The competitors can watch when they get announced as to what is up their next opponent, who's going to fight. They can go back and watch tapes of their opponent's previous fights. So Mike is starting to develop a fighting style. He's trying to adapt to his opponents. He's trying to find out, is this guy does like a bow and arrow? Is this guy like a spear? Is this guy like a mace, like a sword? The terrains on the ship in the arena are all digital landscapes, so they can look like anything. One time it's a superstore, like a Walmart. Another one is a jungle. Another one is just, like a desert. and you got to adapt to your terrain. So there's no getting used to one set scene about what you're going to fight. The arena, I already read that. So after he's fixed, Victor beside, I already read that. Blah, blah, blah. So Mike gets into a bigger house after his third fight. His cell is now a home. It's got bedrooms, it's got a kitchen, it's got laundry, it's got a living room. And he meets Stephanie after his third fight. And Stephanie learns that she went to concert with Durgan. Now, Durgan, as we all know, or some of you may not know, is really the bully in a lot of the Talbot universe. He's a really giant guy, big muscle head. Would throw his grandmother down a flight of stairs. Yeah, basically, yeah. He'd throw an old lady down the stairs if he could. Durgan is seated number one because he just doesn't give a shit. He's kind of an asshole and he's brutal. And the Progerians love it. And Durgan has started a trend of killing his spoils right then and there in front of everybody, or raping in front of everybody for their entertainment. And he has decided that he's going to take no woman but the goddess of the games, which is Beth, which really sets Mike off into a tizzy. So Durgan started brutalizing, raping women, and killing them at the end. So some of the other competitors, because it's human nature, some of us are just, not me, of course, I might say us, but some men are just assholes, and they they go on a power show, and they think, I'm going to show everybody what it is. It's really barbaric, and it goes back to caveman type of fighting where women are met as second-class citizens to some of these people when they don't realize that they can be your best allies. That we find out that Deb and Stephanie and some of the other women that are in Mike's, say, harem, become some of his best allies and help him prepare for his fights. So Mike carefully studies footage of his ranked opponents before each match. His wounds that he is gaining in the arena also start to heal faster. And Mike is kind of wondering why he feels so good after being asleep for 3 days and his back was killing him, or his slash on the side of him has been miraculously healed. And Deb explains to him that the Progerians, who is the leading class of aliens, are betting on the fights. And Mike is the underdog and secretly have been providing him with assistance. So Mike feeling that they were doing best. He wasn't sure of it, but now he definitely knows for a fact. And somebody is betting what they Draka, which is the Progerians' type of money that they do want it. Mike admits to Deb that he's starting to like the killing. It makes him feel more alive than ever. Mike and Deb have developed a sort of relationship. It's because they were the first two that got together in this. They did have intimate relations, one in front of poor Steph while Steph sleep on the couch. Very sorry, Steph, but, Rome, what are you going to do? Deb is kind of like the house mother to all the other girls that end up coming in, and she's the only one that can sleep in Mike's bed, that has Mike's heart. Mike develops feelings for Deb. Deb develops feelings for Mike. But Mike is deeply in love with Beth, and we'll find out more about this as the series progresses. What a huge friggin' mistake that is on the part of our hero. So, and Mike is also, he carries the weight on his shoulders of his spoils, because if he loses a fight, his girls, or spoils, whatever you want to call them, go to his victor. Some of their victors are killing the women because they all just want to get to Beth. So not only is he a 19-year-old college kid that never was really probably in a fight in his life, he's now aboard an alien spaceship, fighting people he doesn't know to the death, and now is responsible for the lives of all these strange women. It's kind of a lot on him, and he's kind of going stir crazy, and he's it's a lot for him, but it's character building for who Mike is. This is who Michael Talbot is. He'll do anything for his friends. He'll jump into a burning car to save friends, and he'll go in front of, he'll fight these total strangers to the death to help save these women. We found out in our first alien to alien conversation between the Supreme Commander and Sub-Commander Krulak. Commander asks how the games are going, and they're saying they're better than ever. The humans are more than they anticipated. They're amazed that the humans have evolved this far. The games will only accelerate the humanity's demise by about 2 years, meaning they've been watching us for a long time. And they know that the humans are assholes and that, we're not pretty much going to kill ourselves off anyway. And them interfering on our planet isn't setting us back very far. The games serve two purposes: to test the humans' fighting spirit and entertain the Progerian and Genogerian crew. Progerians usually rely on the Genogerians or Genos to handle their fighting and dirty work. The relationship between Progerians and Genos mirror how humans once viewed Cro-Magnon man. It stated toward one point that the Progerians' planet is similar to Earth, and they didn't have a life-extinguishing meteor that hit the Earth that kind of wiped out the dinosaurs. So they kind of evolved into what they are today, where they used to be kind of dinosaur type of things, and they got a little bit smaller and they evolved. And the Progerians, the Progerians became man, and the Genogerians were Cro-Magnon man, which, the bigger foreheads, and they're not as intelligent, and they use them as their muscle to go fight. So the Progerians have a sense of superiority over anybody, and they're really kind of underestimating human spirit. But based on what they're seeing in this story, off of what's happening in the arena, they're right on it. So Earth launched a desperate counterattack. A shuttle carrying a much more powerful nuclear bomb, 75 times more, is sent toward the mothership as kind of a Trojan horse mission. Space Shuttle Freedom is heading up there. It is a one-way suicide trip for anyone on board. The mothership is just outside of Jupiter's orbit, and it will take a few months for the ship to reach if it is not blown out of the sky before that. As we get toward the end of my section here on the ground, we finally find out that Paul is organizing a militia in Colorado. He believes that aliens killed everyone at Red Rock, and he has vowed revenge for Mike and Beth. So the world thinks that the people at Red Rocks were just killed by aliens. They don't know that they were beamed up. But Paul also knows that something is coming. The government has been denying it, and he's not the beer drinking, pot smoking college kid that he used to be. He's kind of building a military force up in the mountains of Colorado. Paul has Dennis working on the East Coast to try to get Mike's brother Ron to cooperate and set up an additional resistance force on the East Coast, because Paul thinks that the invasion is coming sooner than he thought, and that the government is going to shut him down. Little does Paul know that the government is kind of funding his little militia. The Grand Commander of the ship. Go ahead.
He knows. Paul knows.
Paul knows
that he knows that the general is funding them. Is where his
that's right. That's right.
And stuff. Yep. His men don't, but he knows that. He's just also doing background work on that to do, like, the government knows he's here working, and in reality, he's also working in Indian Hill.
Yeah, that's right. So the Grand Commander meets with the remaining 9 competitors. We are down to 9 people now. And of course, everybody thinks it's great that Mike is ranked number 7, because he's been ranked, 350 down the bottom end. And I think it's Stephanie. He says, "You're number 7." He's like, out of 9. So he's still down the bottom of everything. So Durgan As gets a couple of bye matches because he's still number one. There is one scene of a really brutal rape by Durgan that I don't wish to discuss on this, but my boy brain kicked into this. Well, Durgan pins the woman down on all fours, brutally rapes her, and then grabs a knife or a sword and stabs her through the back and pins her to the ground. My mind goes, well, when you die, you defecate and you pee. So I'm thinking Durgan is balls deep in this poor girl, and as he kills her, she shits all over him, which is probably rightfully so and justified. But, maybe in a Tim book, Mark would write that down, but he didn't in this part. So
he finishes with her, and then he grabs the sword and stabs her
and kills her.
her.
But he's still behind her.
Yeah.
From what I understand. So if she had diarrhea.
Hopefully she's part hippo.
Exactly. So Mike has to get into they decide to speed things along because there's an odd number of players that Mike is now going to fight the number 2 and number 6 seeds. So there's a 3-way fight, and Mike gets one of the other competitors to kind of side with him where they go to the other guy first. And in a lot of these fights, Mike is kind of building a respect amongst the other players where they're happy they're going to lose to Mike and not somebody else, because Mike has kind of developed a reputation among the other gladiators that he takes care of his spoils. He doesn't kill them. He treats them with respect, and they're glad that the women they kind of become to care for, that they're going to go to Mike and not one of these other assholes or Durgan that are just going to brutalize them and kill them in front of everybody for the aliens' entertainment. So that brings me to the conclusion of my section. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let's take it to Chris to finish things off.
So there was one other really brutal scene from the compatriots or the gladiators. It wasn't Durgan that did it. I don't remember what number the guy was, but he breaks both the woman's legs and then leaves her there to die.
Oh, yeah, where he kicks the knees and they both bend back on each other.
Yep. And then
that guy was a jerk.
And the Gerians don't interfere. The Gerians don't interfere. They just leave her there until she dies of those injuries, which just goes to show how absolutely awful they are. So picking up with my section, we go back to a flashback of Paul. Paul is talking with Dennis. He stops at a random gas station that still has a payphone. These still existed back then. Good luck finding one now. Outside of Georgetown, I believe. Paul is, Dennis is talking with Ron, trying to get him on board. Shows him the video of Mike being abducted, and Ron's like, I don't know if I believe that he's abducted or not, but I know the government's doing something, so fuck it. What do you need? You got whatever you need, you got it.
Yep.
And so they start working. And so he's got 10 days to finish up a project that they're working on. I'm assuming it's the Indian Hill project that we find out later about. But that is that. And then we go back to the ship and meanwhile, as that's going on, we get a snapshot of the shuttle experience, the shuttle that left from Earth, and they are hiding that nuke that is encased in the most platinum that the Americans could find to hide the bomb signature. And it works because the Gerians read it as minor background radiation from our equipment.
Yes.
They have no clue that we are smarter than they think we are, but that tends to happen when you underestimate us. The captain of the mission, or colonel, was it captain or colonel? Anyways, the
colonel.
The one in charge. He volunteered. Everybody on the space shuttle, they volunteered. They all know it was a one-way trip, and it comes time where they want to say goodbye to their loved ones because they're approaching the ship. Obviously, they can't go into too much detail, and the colonel ends up having to end his call early with his wife because he's getting ready to break down. The Brigerians, being the all-time assholes that they are, make fun of him, and they go, million miles from home, and they're worried more about a sports team than anything else because they don't pick up the code because they're aliens and they don't have feelings
or deception or anything to that matter. Yeah.
Well, they know deception, but they don't know human emotions because they don't breed like that. Yep. Breeding is hard for them. Mike is. They make it to the final 3, and he's like, 3 people left, and I'm still dead last. And he ends up going against a guy named Sam. And when they enter the arena, the aliens decided to do something different, and there's no terrain, there's no weapons, it's just mano a mano, and Sam is kicking Mike's ass. And it ends up Mike's down on his knees, he's getting ready to lose, Sam's getting ready to deliver the final blow. And what does Mike do? The only thing he can think of is bite the man's balls. And he crushes one of the testicles, and the guy goes down, and he's crying, and he's begging for him to end him. So no weapons or anything. So Mike stomps the guy's head in, and he loses it at that moment, and he just stomps and stomps, and it keeps going and going and going. And a Genogerian has to literally come in and pull Mike off of him. And I mean, anybody going through that, I can't imagine the kind of trauma that would entail. So Mike gets a little depressed afterwards. And of course, he's in a house full of women. Can't imagine that awful nightmare. and he goes to the guard, and he starts screaming at the door of the guard, and he's like, "Hey, I need out. You got to let me out. You got to let me out." And then Gino's like, "No, back off," and yells at him back. And then he goes and gets Mike's benefactor, the one that's been making all this Draka, all this money off of Mike's competitions. Mm-hmm. And Mike is like, I need away from the women. He's like, are you not impressed with your harem? Do you not enjoy all these women? He's like, I don't know what it's like where you're from, but I need a break. I need to go for a walk. I need to get away from these guys. And he's like, you can't leave the ship. He's like, no, just take me on a walk. Get me out of here. And they're walking through the ship, and they end up walking to the arena. And Mike makes the comment, is it okay if I go in the stand? And he's like, I don't see a red triangle, so that means you're good to go. And he goes in the stand, and he's like, where does the Queen of the Games sit? And the Brigerian points it out, and he goes running to the spot because he's trying to get a whiff, some kind of essence that is Beth. And then he asked about the commander and the Brigerian, because they're almighty. There's nobody that can stand against them, especially not some stupid human. He's like, oh, right in front of the Queen of the Games. And they go off and they have a meal, and then eventually Mike ends up back at the shed, and Stephanie and Deborah are like, oh my God, you're still alive. We're so happy. We really thought you were going to do something stupid. Which anybody who knows Mike, that is entirely possible.
That is definitely a possibility, yes.
So he goes on, and he just gets more and more depressed because whatever the aliens are giving Durgan, he's grown. He's gotten taller. He's put on a crap load more muscle. He is like the ultimate human at this point in time, minus, all the mental issues.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, right. And his benefactor ends up coming back once and is like, I want to see Mike. And Mike is just utterly depressed. He's not interacting with any of the girls. At one point in time, one of the girls breaks a cup, and the whole house is just on edge. It's like, oh my God, is he going to freak out? Nothing. He's just depressed and kind of in his coma-like state. And the benefactor comes in and is like, I need to see Mike. And Stephanie steps in front of him and is like, no, he's not seeing anybody. And he backhands her, and he puts a giant bruise right down her face. And Mike is like, oh, I want to beat you up, but you'll kill us all. So he doesn't. And the guy goes away, and then he comes back a little while later and is like, I want to see you. I want to see him again. This time Stephanie is like, I don't want to get hit in the face again. Go right ahead. And Mike's in the same spot. He's got the same amount of drool on his face. And the guy's like, wow, I wasted all that Draka on you for this next match, and you're just going to kind of like a bump on a log.
Yeah, he's kind of going through his the depression phases.
It is crazy how much, when you understand from other books that Mike is one of Maker's chosen, how much you can actually see Maker's influence on this, because everything had to happen in a certain way. Otherwise, Mike would have never been there. Like, from his competitors to the women he ended up boarded with, everything else is just crazy. It comes time for his final bout with Durgan, and he gets the Geno Jarian guard shows up to bring him in, and he doesn't react. He doesn't move. And the Geno, in a moment of aggravation and upsetness, just throws him over his shoulder and starts carrying him. Like, you don't want to walk? Fine, I'll carry you in there myself. You got to go. That's when Mike realizes that his plasma weapon is strapped to his back in clear reach of Mike. Mike very cautiously and gently slowly moves into position, and as soon as the stride is just perfect, he fires the weapon. And nothing happens at first. Like, there's no reaction, and he thinks, oh, safety's on, or it's a dud, or oh shit, and the next thing he knows, the dude's leg is blown off. And he comes collapsing down, and he gets the gun, and he kills the guard. And then he runs into the arena, and nobody stops him because nobody can believe that this human is daring to challenge them. And he runs up to the Supreme Commander, and he puts the rifle to his face, and he's like, all right, we're leaving. Beth, let's go. And one of the other Geno, and she's like, I can't. She's held by like the back of the neck by one of these massive Genos. And Mike's like, hey, if you don't want a hole in your commander, you're going to let my woman go, and we're getting out of here. And they try something, and Mike ends up shooting the Geno, and it goes through him, and it hits Bajarian. And the commander is so upset that one of his science officers was taken out in the process. You didn't have to kill him. Fuck you. I'll kill all of you. You've been making me fight to the death for months. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they start making they're fight and they're going at it. And that's when Durgan enters the arena. And Durgan's pissed because he's been eating up all of this fucking attention. He's been the king of the games. He's been guaranteed to win. They've been excelling his physiology and making him stronger and faster. And it gets to the point that he is so strong and so powerful, he actually kills a Geno Jarian with his bare hands. Like, rips the dude's head off. Like, the strength to do that is absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give too many spoilers for future books, but if Durgan ended up being the champion, D would have been in a real challenge.
Yeah.
Mike ends up threatening the commander. He's like, hey, you get him to stop, or I put a hole in you. And the commander ends up ordering them to shoot off one of Durgan's legs, and Durgan goes down, and he's screaming like a little bitch, because that's what happens when you put a bully in his place. And they go out, and Mike goes, and he gives a weapon to Beth, and he tells Beth, hey, hold it on the commander. I got to go get the rest of my harem. We're all getting the fuck out of here. Let's do this.
How does it feel to Beth? Like, hey, you take the gun. Hang on. I'm going to get the rest of my bitches. We're all going on a ride.
I got so pissed off at Beth in this moment because she's like, I don't touch guns. I don't believe in firearms. It's like, motherfucker, we're on an alien ship.
Where have you been? What is going on?
Many battles. Like, have you not seen all the fucking horrors? Is your head just in the sand? Hold the fucking gun on him while I get us some fucking backup.
Yeah.
So he does that. He breaks the harem out, and they're all heading towards the hangar to escape. At this point in time, the USS
Freedom.
Enterprise? Freedom. The USS Freedom.
Enterprise is a different story.
All right, Star Trek. We had the fancy holodeck, all right? It was in my brain. Anyways, the USS Freedom gets brought aboard, and they start the countdown, or not the countdown, but they do the docking procedures, and as well as getting the bomb ready and going through that. Then we cut back to Mike and his daring escape. They make it to the hangar, and the Genos are resisting because obviously everybody is willing to die for the commander. He is the supreme commander. It's his birthright. And they're good to go. They get to a ship. They get the loading the dock door down. He has a couple girls go up to inspect it, make sure they're not doing anything. He comes back. They come back out. He goes in. He gets his commander in there. He comes back out. A trap door opens up. A Geno pops up and shoots at Mike. And Mike can see it coming. He's got the thought acceleration going. He can see it happening, but his body is too slow to react to it. Stephanie, on the other hand, saw what was going down, and she dove in front of it, and she took the shot. And Mike kills the Geno, takes his head off, and
rest in peace, Stephanie.
And she's not quite dead yet. He's sitting with her. All the girls are kind of around, and he's like, "No, we got to fight. Let's get our freedom first. Let's do this." And they start dropping them, and they're stacking Genos. Like, they're killing so many Genos, it's hard for the rest of them to work through their dead to get access to the shuttle and start to fight back. And Mike tells Tanya, "Hey, you get on the ship." We go, and Tanya's like, "I ain't going without you. I ain't doing it. Like, we go together or not at all. Like, it's this or nothing." And
all for one and one for all.
Yep. And they end up working through it, and they get back on the ship. They get the hatch closed. Mike's got his weapon pointed at the commander, and he's like, "Hey, let's get out of here. Turn the thrusters on." And the commander's like, "I'm not going to do that without my men. I can't even fly this ship by myself." And he's like, I need at least one of my guards on the ship to help me pilot this." And he's like, "Well, now you just fucked up. You guys don't trust those Genos for anything. They're grunts. There's no way you need a Genogerian on this ship to help you pilot. You would never trust them." And he's like, "Oh, you're smarter than you look." Yeah, fuck you. I'm not, but I'm clever.
Said nobody, Mike, ever.
Right. And the commander gets the ship fired up, and we flash over to the USS Freedom. And the colonel and his first officer get out of the ship, and they're talking with Flirtek?
Yep. Flirtek.
And Flirtek's like, "Hey, we're going to take you to your holding cell." And the colonel's like, "Whoa, hey, holding cell? I ain't cool with going to a holding cell." And he's like, "Oh, English, not my native language. Quarters, is that a better word?" He's like, "That is night and day better word." Those are two completely different things. And Flirtek goes, "But before we go any further, we need your sidearms." And he's like, "Your guards have guns. Why would we give up ours?" And it's that point they notice that all this blue fire and gunfire going off on the other side of the hangar. And he's like, "Hey, what's going on over there? That is not your business. That is not your concern." And he's like, "No, I'm going to make it my concern. What's going on over there? It's a prison break, if you must know. Don't worry, we are handling it." And he's like, "Prison break? Are those humans?" And he doesn't answer, and they end up trying to shoot them. The colonel gets one shot off, and he hits Flirtek in the head, center mass. Doesn't know if he kills him, but he nailed him center mass, and he dies. He gets vaporized by the other Genos in the area. It's that point that the second in command, he goes, "Hey, they're hostile. Blow it." The guy in the ship says one last prayer, detonates the device, and the bomb goes off. And it takes out 90% of the hangar. And the only reason that Mike's ship ends up surviving is because they were already powered up. So they had their shields active. Otherwise, like, it absolutely just cripples the Julipians' hangar area. And they go flying out, and they're escaping. And Mike's talking with the Supreme Commander on the way. And the Supreme Commander mentions another race of people that they had been dealing with in the past. And when when everything failed and they absolutely could not get him to kowtow, they just gassed the whole planet, because he reveals that planets capable of supplying life are incredibly rare in the universe. It's not at all like we think. It's not a dime a dozen. It's extremely hard to find, extremely rare. Consequent, or on the other hand, gold, something that we prioritize, is one of the most common elements in the universe. Like there's entire asteroids just made entirely of gold.
Cool.
Yeah, I wish one would land somewhat near my house.
I want one of those meteorites to hit my backyard.
Thanks. They keep going. They end up reaching out to Earth. Mike gets a hold of the Colonel's best friend at the time and talk, and they request landing coordinates. And then Mike is like, okay, girls, 2 guards on him at all times. I need some sleep. I just killed a couple dozen people. I'm tired. And Beth is like, no, we need to talk. We need to discuss this. And he's like, no, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, this is what Beth kind of starts to show her true colors, where it's before it was all about her. Now it's more about her.
Yeah. Yep. I wonder if later on in the series, if Beth looks back at this moment, or mainly when she was first given the gun to hold the commander, if she looked at that moment and was like, did I make the right choice?
Yeah, but you think you gotta. I thought kind of that too. She could have been the queen of the games. What does being a queen of the games means? It means she knows that she's either going to be with Durgan or Mike, but they're going to be on that ship. It's not like they're going to roam free, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with her being the queen of the games, I wonder if she was so sheltered. She probably had the best of everything, to the point that, she didn't really take into effect anything else that was happening with everybody else, because she was probably living it, like royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could see what was going on, but inside the arena, but outside, what was her quarters like,
Mm-hmm.
Mark, we need a side Beth story of what takes place on the ship. A little short story, couple 100 pages. Get on that. Right after the trip story and the BT one.
She was quite literally sat with the commander for every one of the games. Like,
yeah,
she wasn't in danger. She didn't have to risk any of those animals doing to her what they did to the other women, because she was held up. She was in a position of envy, of stature, as it was. The army ends up giving them landing coordinates in upper Maine, in a deserted area. They end up landing the next day, because that's how much better their flight technology is compared to ours. At one point in time, they're about 6 hours from Earth, and Tanya's like, maybe we should just tie him up. And Mike's like, do you know how to fly the ship? Because I don't have a clue. And Tanya makes an honest answer. What's going to stop him from just flying us into a mountain? Well, the Progerians don't value collectivism. They are all about the individual. If it means that it'll save their life, that's all they care about. And he mentions that. Mike makes the comment that we will defeat you because we have heart. And the commander's like, I have hearts. Not what I mean, man. We got will. We got determination. We will fight you to the last person, because that's just who we are. That's how we are.
Mm-hmm.
They end up going to the landing zone, and Mike's getting ready to open the door, and the general, I believe, at the time is like, "Hey, don't open the door. We need to set up the landing protocol, because you guys are going into quarantine." They take the commander off first. One of the lieutenants in the hazmat suit faints and pisses himself at the side of the commander. I mean, if I saw a 9 foot or an 8 foot tall walking alligator, I'd probably shit my pants too.
Yeah, that'd be
That would be
kind of
terrifying.
scary. Yeah.
Oh, I skipped this part. When the colonel from the USS Freedom got off the ship and first meets, he makes the comment, the bipedal alligator. And he's like, well, are they alligators or are they crocodiles? And he doesn't know the difference. Alligators have a pointed snout and they're smaller, whereas crocodiles have a rounded snout and are much larger. So, little lesson for you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. When I think of it, I think of the progerians being alligator, being an evolved form of an alligator, whereas the Genogerians are an evolved form of crocodile. They're much bigger, they're much larger, they've got a lot more muscle mass, but they're not quite as intelligent. They're not quite as cunning. Yeah, I don't know if that translates to crocodiles versus alligators, but that's just where my mind goes.
Yeah.
So, they take the commander off. They bring another transport in, and they take Mike and the girls off just to make sure they're not carrying any pathogens or anything that'll be dangerous to the rest of us. And that's how it ends. Mike goes from living the good life to being captured and held hostage on an alien ship to fighting to the death multiple times, surviving all the odds, and then he's held hostage by the United States government in quarantine.
Quarantined, yeah, that's a fine. How do you do? I understand why they would do that, because you don't know what kind of diseases they bring back from the other planet, the spaceship or whatever. But what do you guys think about this book collectively? So far, this book collectively, I love the Indian Hills series. It's my favorite series, Talbot series of Mark's. Yeah, it's my favorite series. What do you guys think?
Top 3.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. This book's got a lot of setup to it. At the first half of the book is all just setup. I think that Mark did a great job with that, so that as the books progress, so much more of it's going to come into play.
Oh, without a doubt. Oh, yeah. And this story does not disappoint. The only thing that is disappointing is that there is no 8th book, which Mark has already said. I stuck the landing. We ain't going to get an 8th book. Screw you, Jeff Royds. Thanks, Mark.
So. Hey, he said the same thing to me. He said the same, pretty much verbatim to me as well. So,
oh yeah, he has said it on this show.
On my list.
Yep, he has said it on this podcast. I stuck the landing. There's not going to be an 8th book. Tough shit. So
that's a landing my ass. You left it open, okay?
Wide open, and we're going to get to that. That's going to be a long episode when we finish this series, because there's a lot to discuss at the end of that one. But takeaways from this story is Mike is now a fighting force to be reckoned with. He's in the best shape of his life. He is a natural born leader. He has built trust among people. He has brought people together, some of the competitors in the arena, some of his fellow harem, the women that were in there. You put a group of women in one large space, in a small space like that, there's going to be some fights and a lot going on, and one guy to boot and all this. And he did a really good job holding it all together. And for some reason, he's pining after Beth. Beats the shit out of me why, but yeah. What's up?
I was just going to say, one of the competitors actually died from an altercation with one of the women in his harem.
Oh, that's right. One of the competitors. But see, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of goes crazy there. So, but and we know that Paul is down there building a militia, getting things ready to avenge the death of his friend. We don't know. Does Paul know yet that Mike and them are alive at the end of this book?
No,
I don't think he's been notified or he has any idea what's going on, but he's getting there.
He doesn't find out till Mike shows back up in Walpole, doesn't he?
Does he show up in Walpole or does he show up in Colorado?
Or in Colorado, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because it's
showed
got to
up
be
in
front page
Colorado.
news, and all over the news and the papers and everything that he's back out there and stuff. So, but that they found a ship and everything what's going on. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting as things progress. We will put a pin in it there for this week. And we will be back next Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Wednesday at 7 o'clock. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
6 p.m. Central.
6 p.m. Central, yes.
We got to answer your daughter's question. She said Mark needs to have a merch store.
He does.
He does.
MarkTufo.com.
Go to marktufo.com. So that's where his merch. So I was wondering what she spelled. I have my glasses on, so it's hard to read some small print on my computer screen. So
she blames you for not telling her about the series sooner.
Yeah,
she's a daughter. She blames me for everything. So
Right.
that's the joys of being a dad. But I know I didn't tell you about this sooner, sweetie. I apologize. But I got to turn on to it now. And Mark sent her an autographed copy of Callous Rose.
there you go.
Oh, nice.
So, and the inscription in it says, "If you don't like this, blame your dad." Because he's Mark, and that's a typical Mark fashion. So thank you to everybody that watched. For those of you that are listening to this on the replay, like and subscribe on the YouTube page, 5 stars, rating and review, all that fun, happy crap. It does help us bump up in the ratings and helps other people find the show. Go to marktufo.com for other books and a merch store. And hopefully coming soon, Tufo's Zombie Maple Syrup, which is a whole show in itself. But we will not get into all that because I know Chris and Jason are pining for some, and I have had the distinct pleasure of sampling it twice. And yeah, we're going to leave it there tonight, guys. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Talk to you guys later.